Across the known galaxy, seating arrangements were never accidental. In council chambers, lecture halls, transport vessels, and military briefings, where a species chose to sit revealed hierarchy, confidence, and intent. The front rows were for the powerful, the proud, and the dominant. Those who sat closest to the speaker sought attention, validation, and authority. So when humanity entered the Galactic Assembly, their behavior was quietly noted. Every time. Humans arrived early, humans observed carefully, and humans always chose the back. They took the seats farthest from the speaker, closest to exits, against walls, near shadows. They spread out just enough to avoid clustering, never blocking one another's lines of sight. They did not posture, they did not compete for prominence. They simply watched. At first, the galaxy assumed it was cultural insecurity, a young species, recently uplifted, unsure of its place among ancient civilizations. Analysts marked humans as cautious, deferential, perhaps even timid. They were wrong. The question began as a curiosity among xenopsychologists. Why would a species capable of rapid technological advancement, aggressive expansion, and terrifying adaptability choose positions of apparent insignificance? The answer came much later, and by then it was too late to pretend ignorance. The first formal notice appeared in a Dominion Academy lecture hall, a multi-species strategic theory course attended by future admirals and planetary governors. Seating followed the usual pattern: apex species in the front, lesser powers behind them. Humans filed in last. They moved without discussion, without signals, and settled naturally into the back row. Not the center, not the corners, positions that allowed maximum visibility and minimum obstruction. The lecturer began. Midway through the session, a simulated crisis was introduced, a theoretical fleet ambush. Confusion spread as students debated response vectors. Voices overlapped, authority fractured. The humans did not speak. They watched. When the lecturer paused the simulation and asked for a solution, the room fell silent. No one had a coherent answer. A human raised a hand from the back. Not eagerly, not insistently, just enough. The solution they presented was not flashy. It did not rely on superior firepower or heroic maneuvers. It accounted for unknown variables, worst-case assumptions, and human error. It assumed betrayal. It assumed failure. It assumed panic. It worked. The lecturer dismissed it as coincidence. The humans went back to sitting in the rear. Similar incidents followed. In trade negotiations, humans positioned themselves away from the table center, letting louder species dominate discussion. They asked few questions, took extensive notes, and rarely interrupted. Later, when contracts were reviewed, it became clear the humans had structured agreements with escape clauses, redundancies, and advantages triggered only under crisis conditions. They were never the loudest voice in the room. They were the most prepared. Still, the galaxy misinterpreted this behavior as passive intelligence rather than active strategy. After all, truly dominant species sat in front. They demanded attention. They commanded space. Humans did not. Then came the incident aboard the long-range transport vessel KRS Horizon Spire, a mixed-species civilian liner traveling through contested space. Seating was open. Humans, again, chose the back rows, near service corridors and emergency bulkheads. Other passengers took center seating with better views and prestige placement. When pirates struck, it happened fast. Power failed, gravity fluctuated, panic erupted. The pirates boarded from the forward sections. Those seated in front had nowhere to go. Those seated in the middle were trapped by crowds. The humans at the back were already moving. They had mapped the vessel subconsciously on entry. They knew the distance to exits, the width of corridors, the location of maintenance shafts. When alarm sounded, they did not scream or freeze. They acted. Some evacuated others, some disabled pirates using improvised tools, some sealed bulkheads. No commands were shouted, no hierarchy was visible. They communicated with brief gestures and glances. By the time security forces arrived, the threat was neutralized. When questioned later, a human simply explained that sitting in the back made it easier to see everything. That answer was logged. It should have been studied more closely. The true revelation came during the Cathari Diplomatic Summit, a high-security gathering, multiple rival powers, tensions high, security measures layered and redundant. The seating plan was carefully designed to reflect political balance. Humans were placed, once again, toward the rear. Midway through the summit, an assassination attempt unfolded. It did not come from the front where security focused. It came from above, through ventilation systems overlooked by non-terrestrial species, unfamiliar with human architectural paranoia. The first humans noticed it because they were watching everyone, not just the speaker. They saw the slight movement in shadows, the change in airflow, the hesitation of a guard who should not have hesitated. They reacted before alarms triggered. 3 humans moved to shield delegates without knowing who they were protecting. 2 others disabled the activists using nothing but a chair, a table edge, and timing. Another human was already directing evacuation routes quietly, calmly. When the summit resumed days later, an investigation followed. Analysts reviewed recordings. They tracked human eye movements, posture, and positioning. A pattern emerged. Humans did not sit at the back because they were submissive. They sat at the back because it was tactically superior. From the back, one could see the entire room. One could monitor entrances, exits, and crowd dynamics. One could avoid being boxed in. One could leave quickly or move forward when needed. From the back, one was not the first target. Humans had evolved as both predators and prey. Their psychology retained instincts forged in environments where threats came from any direction. They valued awareness over status, escape routes over prestige, and preparation over performance. Front row seating was for those who wanted to be seen. Back row seating was for those who wanted to survive. Military analysts began reevaluating human behavior retroactively. Battle footage revealed similar patterns. Human units often positioned themselves slightly behind allies, not out of cowardice, but to provide overlapping coverage. They watched flanks. They anticipated collapse points. When lines broke, humans were already moving to contain damage. In command centers, human officers preferred elevated or rear positions, where they could observe entire operational spaces rather than focusing on a single display. In classrooms, humans sat where they could watch both instructor and peers, reading reactions as carefully as information. In negotiations, humans sat back to listen, to learn, to notice inconsistencies. They did not seek dominance in posture, they sought control in outcomes. Once this understanding spread, fear followed, because a species that did not need to sit in front to feel powerful was a species comfortable with power. Humans did not need constant affirmation. They did not equate visibility with authority. They trusted their ability to act when necessary. They waited. The galaxy began to notice something else. When humans finally did move to the front, it was never accidental. In emergency councils, when humans took front seating unprompted, alarms were quietly raised. It meant they had identified a threat that others had not. It meant waiting was no longer sufficient. On battlefields, when human units advanced aggressively instead of holding reserve positions, it meant conditions had already been calculated and the risk deemed acceptable. Humans in the back were calm. Humans in the front were dangerous. The phrase entered informal galactic slang within a decade. If the humans are sitting behind you, you are safe. If the humans move forward, something has gone wrong. Academies revised their teachings. Security doctrines changed. Seating charts were no longer treated as symbolic. Some species attempted to imitate human behavior, choosing back seats in hopes of appearing equally prepared. It did not work. They lacked the instincts. They lacked the quiet calculation. They lacked the evolutionary memory of predators hiding in tall grass and prey listening for footsteps behind them. Humans did not sit at the back out of fear. They sat there because it gave them time. Time to observe, time to decide, time to act correctly, not quickly. The galaxy finally found out. And once it did, no one ever felt comfortable sitting in front of a human again.